Assalamualaikum and a very good day to all present today. Welcome to the second round of English Debate Competition InterVarsity Science E-Debate Challenge 2021. The motion for this debate is, this House would grant human rights to sentient robots. I will be the chairperson and the timekeeper for room 3. Let me now introduce to the debaters to you. Acting as the government team for this debate is the team from UniKLA with Mr. Adam bin Ramli as the Prime Minister, Mr. Muhammad Irfan bin Jasni as the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Adam Haziq bin Muhammad Nasir as the Government Whip. Acting as the opposition team for this debate is the team from UUMA with Ms. Kirtika Nair as the opposition leader, Ms. Durgashini James as the second opposition speaker, Ms. Parmeeeenjit Kaur as the opposition whip. Our panel of adjudicators consists of Mr. Muhammad Farhan Shah bin Shahbuddin and Ms. Siti Aisha binti Muhammad Hilmi. Now we come to our debate. To open the case from the government team, I call upon the Prime Minister to start the debate session. The floor is yours.
Sound check. Hello. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Good morning, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are having a great day today. Before starting to this debate, can I share something to you guys? We already know that technology is in our daily life. It's our normal life actually. We use technology even right now. We are using our laptops, our phone to have this debate. Technology affects how the individual communicate, learn, and think. I know we agree with that. It also helps society determines how people interact with each other on daily basis. Technology plays an important role in society today. It has positive and negative effects on the world, and it impacts daily life, and this is important. We are living in an era where technological advances are common. And relating to this debate, which is the motion stated that this House would grant human rights to sentient robots. We define the motion as giving human rights to sentient robots that have the capacity to have feelings, sensation, be aware of their surrounding. That's the important. Sentient robot that can feel feelings and aware of their surrounding. They can feel wanted emotions such as joy, and they also can feel unwanted emotions such as pain and suffering. When we are talking about human rights are the basic rights and freedoms that belong to every person in the world from birth until death. They apply regardless of where you are from, what you believe, or how you can choose to live your life, and that is important. They can never be taken away because it's humans' right, although they can sometimes be restricted. For example, if a person breaks the law, they need to follow the law and to ensure their national security. These basic rights are based on shared values like dignity, fairness, equality, respect, and independence. Our stand is very clear today. We on the government side, we want to give human rights to these sentient robots since they have the capabilities of human. They can feel feelings like us, they know what to do, and we want to ensure to have their rights to be taken care of. In a world where sentient robots have been lived with us for so long, it is a norm for them to be in our daily lives. They live hand in hand with humans, hence we think they deserve what humans deserve, which is the human rights. The stakeholders for today are humans and sentient robots. Their relationship is very much important. We help the robots and the robots helps us. Hence why I think that the stakeholders are very much important here. How will it affect the sentient robot, and how will it affect the humans' relationship with them? So the proposal in our world that I would like to propose is that they will be included in a current human policy, but altered with to fit with their restriction. Why do I say that? Because robots and humans are different. And for example, I can give one example that can understand this much better is imagine if a sentient robot were to do a crime, we will sentence them differently compared to a human, meaning that we can also maybe we can just shut down to them, not hanging them. If that's, I hope you understand that. And we want to grant them a freedom of living, freedom of torture, freedom of slavery, and they live within the laws and jurisdiction system, and not forgetting freedom of expression and protection from discrimination. We know that as I said just now, they live hand in hand with humans, but in reality, the world is full of discrimination, and we do know that how it affects the sentient robot, and we know that humans tend to talk bad about them and discriminate them, force them into work. Since they have feelings, they know itself how it will affect them. On the mechanism two that I propose is that we will put certain restriction on them because we want to hold them accountable. Since we are giving human rights to them, we want to hold them accountable. Maybe since they have feelings, they can do some things that we humans also do. Hence why we want to hold them accountable. Moving on into the burden of proof, I want to make sure that the opposition will prove how the sentient robot and how they will not harm their side and how they will not regard their feelings. And the second one is if sentient robot commits crime, who will be responsible for them if we won't give them human rights? The goal of this debate is that we want to achieve to ensure the better future for both the side of humans and sentient robot, which is important. Moving on to my first argument, is that the resemblance of a human and sentient robot are the same. They can feel joy, they can feel sad, and they can also feel pain and suffering. We want them to have the freedom of living with consent. Consent is a permission for something that happened or agreement to do something. This is important because we are talking about sentient robot that can feel feelings and unwanted feelings. This we as a human thinks that consent is important because when we wanted to do something, we ask for them, can you do this? And the person will be like, oh no, I cannot do, or I can do it. And this is why it's important to the robot itself. Without the consent, how can we ensure that the feelings of the robot are being taken care of? Hence, this is why human rights is important. And moving on to that is that, for example, if we decide to neglect them, what will happen to them? What happened to the feelings of them? And they won't be hand in hand with us. Like I said, we live in a world where humans and robots are living in the same and they help each other. If we neglect their feelings, their emotion, how are we going to ensure our future? We are talking about the future that could be much better when humans and robots are together. And I do think that when we're taking care of the sentient robot feelings, we can ensure a better future for everyone. And with regards of that, if we give consent, if we put the same concept of consent as human to the robots, we can ensure that the feelings and the rights of them are being taken care of because we want them how they are how we are treated. We want to treat them the same way. And with that, I raise my case. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your speech, Mr. Prime Minister. To open the case from the opposition team, I call upon the leader of opposition to continue the debate session.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hello, good. Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I'll begin my rebuttal speech. My speech in So a very good morning, IB to everyone over here. Today, the opposition side, as the leader of opposition, we would like to completely oppose the idea of giving human rights to sentient robots. The government tried to seem to, they try to make it seem as if robots, we are neglecting the usage of robot, or we don't need robot. But what am I telling is, granting human rights to sentient robots is the issue over here. And why I'll continue to explain why is it a very wrong thing, and what are the impacts humans are going to face, and why is it completely unnecessary for sentient robots to have human rights. And let me move on to my first point. So, human rights are rights inherent to all human beings, regardless of race, sex, nationality, language, and etc. And human rights also include the right of life and liberty, freedom of slavery, torture, freedom of opinion and expression, and all, and so many other rights as well. So, providing human rights to sentient robots, which can feel positive and negative emotions, is definitely becoming a competition to the mankind. um, it makes it similar to mankind, just that robots are much more stronger, and uh, it is more it doesn't have the human or living thing characteristics, which is one of the major issue which causes why human rights should not be granted to sentient robots. Firstly, why am I telling it's a competition to the mankind? Because there are many problems faced by humans which are still unresolved. For an example, poverty. 8.6 of the 8.6 of the people population are still going poverty. Have you tried to bring a solution for it? um I don't think so. We have even tackled that issue when receiving basic food and water, shelter is a basic necessary of humans. When we are failing to
Your
protect the
eye.
human rights, I would decline it for now. When we are failing to protect the human rights of humans, how are we even going to afford to provide human rights, or how are we going to protect the rights of the robots? The increase in millions of poor at the global level is uh, is one of the major issue, and providing human rights to robots with sentience would require protection and all these necessary other stuffs, which would eventually cause a major setbacks for the authorities. Secondly, I would like to speak about freedom of slavery. Now we are using robots because they are a machine, but sentient robots are being used to complete hardcore chores, which is impossible to be done by humans. The robot would ask for pay, as they now have human rights. So this is a big issue as well, because this causes a competition in manpower once again, and now the robots will seek for money, or some kind of compensation for the job that for the job that is being done by them. Now, um, this causes the value of money being spent on humans and robots is going to be different, and
Your eye.
this can be totally avoided. I'm declining it for now. I'll accept your PR later. The, when you are doing this to the robots, the money being used, uh, which can be used for human beings. Moving on to the third point, robots does not need food or water. To put it in a better way, robot does not depend on living things to survive, which would cause a major disruption to the ecosystem. So, when our ecosystem, our biodiversity is depending on living things. So um, how the entire food cycle goes on, and when robots have the human rights, they have the rights to produce themselves and make a duplicate or clones of themselves in the name of reproducing. So this would eventually become a threatening issue to the humans as well. Moving on to the fourth issue, as what I mentioned earlier, increase in its population by its own, in fact, as increasing its population by its own, to a point where it might even increase uh, uh, to a point where the population of the robots is higher than the human. This would even cause uh, this would cause us to fight for many other things, where the point that I'm trying to prove over here is the humans are already facing so much of discrimination, so many problems, various type of problems, and so on. And you are telling that you are asking me you are and you're telling that providing human rights to sentient robots is going to provide better solutions. I don't really think so. Now, I would like to speak about the impact we have to bear due to misuse of the sentient robots. Number one, the major fact major factor about robot is it is programmed by human, and it can anytime it can the entire situation can flip apart. uh now there might be many situations, or one of the situation example of situation that might arise would be robots are being hacked by human. After all, robots are machine, and they have all the capabilities to be hacked by humans, which might cause for terrorism act, bombing innocent people, starting a war, and all kind of negative issues. Even though you might say that no, robots might feel emotions, and what if the robots are feeling the negative emotions same way the human does?
Your
So
eye.
this is uncontrollable. I'm declining it now. uh, so now the problem is, what if the humans manipulate the robots into turning a war? Or another issue that we might have to face is, what if the robots themselves start to reproduce themselves or make a clone of themselves and start a war against humans because they think they are superior in all times, in all kind of aspects. Moving on to the second point, emotion of human varies depending on their age. So especially a child would be more happy, and the feelings faced by a child is completely different to a feelings faced by an adult, and same goes to when it face to an when there's a situation where two people, a old lady and a young child is wounded, who the robot saves? So this kind of indecisive nerves can be proved by telling that sentient robots have no capabilities to has no good capabilities to make decision. So what I would like to say is, um, and another final point that I would like to say is, we should make sure all human beings in all corner of the world to receive uh, human rights prior to providing human rights to the robots. So one of the another example that I would like to, oh, the time is going. So I would firmly believe that the opposition have clearly portrayed why human rights are being given to the sentient robot should be opposed, and I would like to rest my case now.
All right, thank you to the speaker for the speech. To continue our debate, I call upon the Deputy Prime Minister to continue the case from their side.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. Let's start. One, two, three. I'm very sad to say that side opposition neglects the feeling of these sentient robots. This is why the opposition stays the side opposition and never becomes the government, because they are never able to cater to the feelings of the sentient robots and also the humans in the first place. Hence why we should never vote for the opposition and vote for the government in first place, right? But before I go towards my arguments and my debate for today, I'm going to talk about our stance for today. We, the side government, totally agrees on to giving grants human rights to sentient robots. Now, before I go towards my debate, I'm going to talk about a few rebuttals here. I'm going to what the side leader of opposition has said to us. First, they've talked about robots are more stronger, and that it's gonna give competition to manpower. Look, competition is good. Competition in any way is good, because if it makes you become better and strive to be better, it is better at the end of the day. We don't see any harm on that. People will feel petrified. People will feel that they have to be better. That's the same case for human. You know, competition already exists in human, and I don't see there is any mutually exclusive issue here. Now, second, they say on the fact that they're going to destroy the ecosystem. Well, we believe that even without sentient robots in the first place, ecosystem is already in a threat. You know, that humans exist, existence of human, that they are, you know, polluting the earth, that they are cutting out trees is already destroying ecosystem. While we don't see by having robots is gonna do it even more, and that has not been stated by the side opposition. And third, they're basically saying that it is going to increase in population. Look, there are rules and regulations in the first place. They cannot simply populate in any way. And fourthly, they simply say that they are going to be programmed and hacked by human. Look, humans can be influenced and can be indoctrinated. Therefore, we believe that harm still exists in humans, even without robots in the first place, right? Now, let me continue towards my arguments, right? So what am I going to talk today is I'm going to be giving you extension towards my Prime Minister's speech. Second, I'm going to talk about benefits if this motion passes, which is to give them rights to adjust to human lives and that we can live in harmony. Second, I'm going to talk about the harms if this motion does not pass, because sentient robots are not being held accountable if they are doing crime. Second point on that harms is that humans are going to discriminate them, and that we can lead to humans versus robot war, which they have never seen on today's debate. Now, first, I'm going to talk about the benefits, right? First, give them rights to adjust humans' life. You know, as what have been stated by my Prime Minister, where robot sentence is already a norm, we don't see there is any problem for the humans who think that robot sentence is new. You know, by giving them actually human rights is probably one of the steps for them to further seek between the human's life, for them to further adjust, feel included in the human's life, because we know the nature of the sentient robots in the first place, which has been said by my Prime Minister, that these sentient robots can feel the feelings, that they can feel the joy, they can also feel pain. Don't you feel the pain if you are not being given the rights, the same human rights you're not being given the same human right to the robots. You know, robots cannot actually buy things. Robots are not tied to the fact that they can still get money, which what the side opposition disagrees. You know, that robot cannot buy the thing that they want. They have to live in such world where the side opposition thinks that they should live, which what I want to say is that if they cannot get money to pay for the things that they want, meaning that they will have to opt for the things that they will just have to live without the things that they want. Don't you feel that is stressful, and don't you feel that is against the human basic right law, because they have the rights, because it is already inside them already, because they have the feelings, you know? And now second, I'm going to talk about living in harmony, right? On how they can live in harmony if this motion passes, and on how we give human rights to these sentient robots. Human rights, what we mean is that it's just like basically can work. Basically, they can they have the right of freedom of choice. They have the freedom of expressions, meaning that they can choose whether they want to work. They want to work remotely. They can choose whether they want to work in different company. You know, by not giving this freedom of choice, which is a basic human right, it is problematic, because they have to simply obey to whatever humans say. You know, the impact here, if they simply have to obey and they simply have to coerce and force to do things that they do not want to, they will feel rebellious. They will feel that they have to do something just to gain that freedom that they want, which side opposition never actually sees, you know. But if we actually give them human rights, you know, we give them basic freedom of choice, freedom of expression, freedom of choice to basically choose wherever you want to work, to basically choose whatever you want to eat or whatever you want to buy with their own money. It's just going to make them live even better. The quality of life is even better, because we understand they have the same feelings and the same pain that the human feels. Just imagine if humans have to do the same thing, that humans are tied to do things that they do not want to, that they are forced to do things that they do not want to, which what the side opposition never actually sees. Now, I'm going to talk towards the comes if this motion does not pass, right? First, that if sentient robots, as what we know, that they have feelings and they can feel, pain, that they are also able to do crime. The which side opposition never actually says, granting human rights, meaning they are also held accountable to justice system of justice. Where I want to say that if those sentient robots, they actually ought to do crime, which they will be held accountable and they will have the same sentence as what humans has. Although there will be restrictions on what types of crimes at the end of the day, right? If they are sentenced to death, death penalty will be different. Maybe they will be shut down, which what the mechanism already been said by the side government, right? Now I want to talk about humans are going to discriminate them, and human versus robot war can happen. By not actually giving them these humans, right? When they feel that they are tied to issues and they feel that they are forced to do things that they do not want to, that they will be rebellious, and this could happen. They could actually lead to human versus robot war, and that could further impact the economy. That nobody wants to actually invest in money to that country. That basically it is going to lead in a very wreck and havoc life, which side the opposition agrees. Therefore, we from the side government truly agrees and agrees for today's motion. Therefore, I raise my case. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you, the speakers, for their remarks. Now I'll call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition to continue the case from their side.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, thank you. So starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess that the government side did not really accept what the opposition were trying to convey in the first place. They were twisting a lot of words that we said. A very cheerful good morning to everyone who's with us today. And today I would like to light my views supporting the motion, opposing the motion that this House would grant a human right to sentient robots. Firstly, let me rebut the points that were given by the government Prime Minister and also the Deputy Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister have said that, the robots, they deserve the freedom of living, the freedom of torture, the freedom of, being able to express themselves, the freedom to be protect them from discrimination that's happening, because nowadays there's discrimination everywhere. Well, I agree with you. I don't say robot don't deserve rights. Please listen my words carefully here. I am not saying robot doesn't deserve right. We from the opposition are morally, we think that humans are morally obliged to protect robots, to design them to protect against misuse and to be morally harmonized with humanity. There's a whole stack of rights that should be given to robot, but the question here is it human rights? I would say no. I hope I'm very clear with this. And if you're telling me that the right to be protected is considered as human's right, no, because the right to be protected by legal system can be modified, like what our Prime Minister from the government side said, that you need to do certain modification, because you itself know that it's going to backfire you someday. When you know that you need to do a certain modification, why not make it a robot rights? Why are you trying to make robot to adhere to human rights? This is an alternative that the opposition is trying to provide the government side today. Right. I'm sorry, I've not accepted. Not accepted. So my following rebuttals I will explain in my point explanation. So moving on to my point, why I say sentient robots should not be granted human rights. First of all, my point is robots are robots and humans are humans. Robots can never be humans regardless of whether they are sentient, they are conscious, or whatever it is. Okay? Are robot equivalent to humans? Definitely no. Robots are not humans. Even if the robot gets smarter, even if their smartness exceeds human smartness, it doesn't change the fact that robots are different from human, and it is found just to it as a supporting tool to help human. I am not downgrading what robots are or what robots will be, but I'm being very realist about what robots truly are. Technology to support humanity. Just because they are designed like human, they have the smartness exceeding human, that can never make a robot become a human. Please understand this fact first of all. As I mentioned just now, we are morally obliged to protect the robots. We need to protect them against misuse, against discrimination, give them the freedom. I understand, but that doesn't mean the freedom of giving them human rights. Do you all know that human rights including voting as well? How you can expect a programmed robot to vote unbiased? People can just use it for their advantage, just as a corporate personhood can be used in a way, because for them all they want is advantage. So granting rights to robots will have the consequences not accepted that we cannot fully predict. Okay, let me give you two futuristic example. First is the voting one that I can say. Secondly, how could we refuse a sophisticated robot? You give them the rights to participate in social decision making, like the voting, and on what basis we can deny that the intelligent robot or machine has the right to sit as a jury? How? It will always be programmed for favor. Okay, and I am emphasizing the point here that robot can never be human at any cost. You see, human and robots are different
Yeah.
biologically, philosophically, legally, and should not be given human rights, although they are sentient. And because they cannot hold a human conscious fully, and despite being a sentient robot, that's the fact. And giving them human rights would endanger the entire human civilization. Yes, POI accepted.
We already state to you our mechanism that robot is included to current human policy but alter to fit robots restrictions. What is the difference to your side?
Alter some of them to fit. Okay, that is my question. Why you need to alter? Why you need to alter human rights? Why are you comparing robot and humans? Why? That is my question to the government side. Why are you all asking me back? If you say you want to alter the rules, why not you make a new guideline? That is the extra thing that we are giving you, extra insight that we are giving you. If you want to alter something, there is already this book and you want to alter that here and there, why not you just produce a new book just for robots? Give them their rights. Why you have create something as robot rights? Why you have to give human rights? That is the question. Just because they have feelings, just because they are sentient? No, I don't think so. That would be a good idea, because human rights has a very, very wide range from A to Z, and you cannot fulfill every single rights. And you want to give everything. If you think you want to give every single rights to the robots, I am sorry, you are going to backfire the entire human civilization, and you're going to make the whole world go insane. And I think I also take this opportunity to rebut what the Deputy Prime Minister have stated. Competition is good, it is smart. I am sorry, competition is only fair when it happens between two things that are in the same category. As I mentioned in my point, human and robots are very, very different, and robots are only technology to support humans. I hope the government side can take this fact, and I hope the educators could see all the possible reason on why the opposition saying that human rights should not be granted to robots, sentient robots. And with that, today I rest my case. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for such a remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now call upon the government whip to rebut.
Hello? Y'all, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Alright. Alright. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine if it's 1800s right now. Imagine if it's 1700s. Imagine not being able to talk. Imagine not being able to give consent. Imagine not being able to talk, to express your feelings, and not even being provided foods, not being provided rights, not being provided a lot of things. That is what's happening right now. That is what the opposition side are trying to propose right now. They are basically starting instantly again and again. We have passed forward this issue, and basically right now we have a new sentient, those robots that have feelings, those robots that have emotions. They could talk, they could nurture us, they could take care of us, and basically we're just ignoring their rights, and we are starting enslaving again and again. This is what the opposition side are trying to oppose today. All right. So before I start my debate session today, I would like to divide my room into two. First, I would stand for our government side, and second, I would oppose every single thing that the opposition side said today. All right. So moving on to the government side today, we are trying to show you that these kind of robots, they have consent, they have feelings, they are being enslaved, they are being kept in cages, they are not being monitored. These kind of robots they have emotions, they have feeling. Imagine if there is a person, yes, we understand that they are robots and stuff like that, but you must also understand that these are the sentients that have humans, that have humans feeling, that have consciousness, that have consent and stuff like that. And today, the problem with the opposition side is they are telling us that these kind of robots are not having the enough consciousness to help as a human and stuff like that. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem is right now we are not debating about the sentient robot that have feelings and stuff like that. We are debating about should we give them human rights or not? All right. And also the first speaker from our side already said it that if we neglect these kind of feelings and stuff like that, we could basically just we could just basically cause more problems and issues in the near future. We are talking about the short-term effects and the long-term effects. In the short term, we could see that these kind of robots are being enslaved, are being tortured, are being kept in cages and stuff like that, and they are not basically being taken care of. And these are the kind of problems that we are trying to solve right now. And in the long term effect, we could see that maybe someday when these kind of opinions by the robots and stuff like that are not being taken care of, we could basically just initiate another war, maybe a war between humans and the war robots, which the first speaker and the second speaker never see and never stated and never even rebutted about that point. That is what we are trying to prove to you today, that these kind of robots, they have feelings, they have emotions, they could lean to the bad side, and they could basically just do a lot of things that human basically couldn't think of. All right. So moving on to the opposition side, they are talking about the poverty, the poverty and the competition and stuff. And I don't understand what is the relation. Yes, we understand that there are issues among humans. There are a lot of issues among humans itself. But we are talking right now about robots. The issues between the robots. There is no need for us to bring up other issues about humans and stuff like that. We already are working on it. So why not we just work on another issue, which is the robot sentients that are living within us right now. These are the things that we want to solve. We want to give them rights. We want to give them a freedom of living and stuff like that. All right. So moving on. They are saying about those kind of robots doesn't need living things, doesn't need to eat and sleep and stuff like that. And they're talking about how increased population and stuff like that. This is what the main thing that our government side are trying to prove to you. We are giving them human rights to keep them in check, to put them in our basically to make them abide by law, to not basically just make them roaming everywhere without any repercussions, without any people trying to watch over them. So basically, we could already state that they could do crimes, they could do war, and the burden of proof today from the government side is that we want to ask them if somehow these robots did crimes and stuff like that, who will be held responsible? Is it the company? Is it the robot itself and stuff like that? We from the government side, we are trying to show you that these kind of robots, they have feelings, they have a lot of things that they could do. So they could basically just do crimes and stuff like that. So they need to be held accountable. We are giving them human rights. So we are treating them as human. They have rights. They should be abide by the law. They should not break any law. They should feel as human as they can, and they should basically follow every step that we have taken. All right. So moving on to the second speaker on our side, you are talking about how we are taking a step further. How how these kind of robots, they can't have money, they can't get a lot of things that they want. It's just basically enslaving all over again. This topic has already been done countless times in the past, and we should basically just resolve it today. We are talking about sentients that have feelings. They could buy money, they could work, they have opportunity and stuff like that. And yes, we understand that there are competitions and stuff like that, but that is out of context basically, because we are talking about robots. Yes, competition is good. The second speaker already said it. And you're talking about competitions about robot and human. Robots are robot, humans are humans and stuff like that. These are the problems with the opposition side today. They are basically just neglecting those kind of people that have emotions and stuff like that. Imagine if you are in the position of the robot. Imagine we are living in a world where humans are everything and we are just robots. We are being neglected. We are being tortured. We are being we have been done wrong and stuff like that, what would you feel? You cannot speak because those kind of people will basically will torture you more. You cannot just voice out your opinion because you are a robot. Who cares about you? What would you feel if you were in that position? All right. So moving on, we are talking about how this kind of robots will be held accountable. I hope that the third speaker from the opposition side will answer who will be held accountable if this crime keep increasing. What will happen to the economy? For example, if a robot just rob a bank and do a lot of things, just basically kill some people, what will happen to that kind of robot? Who will be held accountable? We are talking about life right now. We are talking about the future right now. What will happen to those people who are being killed by the robot? What will happen if there are war between robots and humans? What will happen to the economy? The economy will definitely go down if we don't put these robots in check. What will happen to the human itself, which are not as capable as robots? They will definitely go down. Maybe they will get killed and stuff like that. So this is why we need to give them human rights. It is basically to make them as human as we can and to make them abide by the law, and we could make them feel as human as they can. They could have rights, they could work, they could do jobs and stuff like that. All right, so moving on to the second speaker right now. Basically, what have you learned today? The government side right now, we are giving options for these robots. We're basically making them human. We understand that they have emotions and feelings like that, and we want to make them abide by the law. We want to work hand in hand with them because they have helped us a lot, and they have also helped us to improve better day by day. And what the opposition side today is trying to put to you that we should start enslaving all over again because we have a lot of other issues that have to be solved. This is the problem with the opposition side. And before I am a speech, this house will grant human rights to sentient robots based on our premise today is to ensure a better future for humans and also sentient robots. And by that, I rest my case here. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you. Now, I'd like to call upon to listen to the rebuttal of the opposition whip.
Okay. Mic test, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I will start. Hold on, please. Okay, I will start in 3, 2, 1. A very good day, I bid to the adjudicators and my fellow debaters. The motion for today is that this House will grant human rights on sentient robots, and we, the opposition side, object to the motion. And as the third speaker of the opposition side, I will address all the weaknesses and the arguments that the government brought up and reaffirm my team's case and ultimately prove that we have the better stand on this debate. So firstly, as mentioned by the first speaker of the government, they mentioned that robots can have feelings like us and yada yada, because they can feel pain, they can feel sentient robots, they can feel pain, they can feel joy, they can feel suffering. Yes, that is true, but these feelings are also in humans, and the crime rate is already high just by these feelings by humans. And now we are imposing the same rights on robots. What do you think will happen? And they are very, very focused on the problems that will arise if we neglect rights, if we neglect robots to human rights. They are of the assumption that if the sentient robots are not given human rights, they will be rebellious and there'll be more problem in the future. But what happens if they are given human rights? Now we all know that in terms of physically, in physical terms, robots are faster, they are stronger, they are much more intelligent. So what is going to happen? Do you think that giving them equal rights as humans will make us and the robots equal? No, I decline. It will just simply make them even have the upper hand, and they will someday might even dominate us. And there are many, many health experts, AI experts that have said against this. And next, there's also a speaker who mentioned that consent is important to sentient robots. And okay, now let me just tell you, sentient robots were made to facilitate interaction. But when you are giving human rights, you are giving them consent to do as they wish. You are giving them consent to not even obey the operators. And another point mentioned, a very important point mentioned by the government side, is who will be held accountable in a system of justice when something happens to the robots or when something is done by the robots. And the answer should be the operators of robots themselves, because if robots are given such legal rights as humans, now what happens when a robot commits a crime, which is programmed or which is manipulated by their operators? The operators can keep making new robots, new sentient robots, and keep training them to do what they want, while these sentient robots, will be punishable. They will be brought in jail. They'll be in jail. They'll be punishable. whatever means no, sorry. And this is what is going to happen in a system of law. You are not going to hold the operators accountable, and they can deny liability. They can say that, oh, I did not do that because that's just a robot. It was working on its own consent. It was working on its own consciousness. It is sentient. Okay. And the government point also mentioned that there are rules and regulations. There will be rules and regulations to control the amount of freedom and all that the robots have. So let me just inform you and let you know that rules and regulation varies between a lot of countries. Different countries have different rules and regulations, and the same will go to robots. What if some countries allow things that we can program to do to sentient robots that other countries do not allow? What will happen to the future of this world? The wars, when it comes to wars, when it comes to a lot of aspects between diplomatic relationships in countries.
Yeah,
So this is issue. Yes, accepted.
You're saying that if basically the creators of the robots are not held accountable if they are doing this kind of things with consent, so basically you're just letting down the economy and everything else just go down to the ground. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. Okay. So there's also another point made by the government side regarding robots having feeling joy, feeling pain, and they ask, what will we feel if we were restricted of those rights? And okay, the whole purpose of robots is not to be equated to humans. They do not deserve human rights. That is why they are robots. And yes, long time ago, we can imagine ourselves in long time ago when we did not have any rights and stuff. And that is exactly why today we have robots to do things for. We have sentient robots to facilitate interaction, and we have our own rights. Like mentioned by my second speakers, we do not agree to give human rights to robots. That is just out of the picture, and I can't even comprehend how is the world is a world with robots given human rights is even possible, because human rights include the right to live, liberty and freedom, pursuit of happiness. Okay, what happens and the government side also mentioned that things are much better if humans and robots are together. So now what about when it comes to feelings, since the robots are sentient, like love, marriage? Are we going to have rights for humans, like, oh, they can fall in love with a robot, they can marry a robot? And I think there are a lot of issues that is relevant in this case, but it's not covered by the government. They are of this idea that robots are only going to bring so much. Sentient robots are deprived of rights and all. Yes, they are deprived of rights, but human rights is not what they give. Human rights are special to humans. Not even animals have rights. When it comes to laboratory testing, even animals, like the recent case of Ralph, like even they are not protected comprehensively, and we are now working on robots who have the capacity to undergo the pain, to be stronger physically, to be smarter. Okay, and since that the government mentioned that they keep mentioning that the robots have feelings. Now these feelings are programmed by humans. They do not born and think and develop their own consciousness. Everything is programmed by humans because we are the creators of the robots. And what happens now if I am a communist or maybe I am a terrorist and I have the technology to make a sentient robot, and every day I tell the robot bad things about this world, and then the robot can go ahead and bomb countries without any human even being present, and then the robots will be held live. No, rejected. It's above 6 minutes. Okay, so I will reaffirm the points presented by my team instead, and where we say that robots do not deserve human rights. Like, yes, you can say that they deserve rights and all, but it is not human rights. Human rights are too complex and too special and unique to humans, and we should never equate humans to robots. And while I think that the government side had brought up some interesting facts. However, they were insufficient in proving their dominance in this issue, and we, the opposition side, has been more comprehensive on why we should object the motion being presented today. And I hope the members of the floor will also agree with us. And with that, I rest my case. Thank you.
Now we have heard all three speakers from both teams. We should take a short break of 1 minute. During this time, both the government and the opposition team will prepare the reply speech. Alright, the time of 1 minute has ended. I shall now invite the opposition leader from the opposition team to deliver the reply speech.
Yeah, am I audible? So,
Yes, you are.
okay. So I'll start my reply speech in three, two, one. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very last time for today's opposition, and it is now my pleasure to summarize this debate. So let's have a look what both sides have said and see what the outcome of this debate actually is. One of the main clashes mentioned by the government was the emotional pain went through by sentient robots when they don't have rights. The speaker earlier said that they can't cry, they can't talk. So you are prohibiting their rights to live and etc. Our opposition team clearly tackled this issue by providing an alternative solution, which is to provide rights but not the human rights. I think the government keeps failing to see that providing rights is different than human rights. We are not saying that they should be abused, they should not receive any kind of rights, they should be um, they should just stay in a corner of the room, not being able to see, not being able to buy whatever they want. We are saying that it sentient robots deserve rights, but they have their own rights, which should the government team should come up with some ideas, not the human rights. They kept projecting an image as if we are abusing the sentient robot, which is totally contradictory to our point. The government should come to sense and realize that robots are not equivalent to humans just because they are sentient. Having emotion doesn't mean that you are an human, and having emotions doesn't provide you the ability or the capability to think and make wise decisions, nor analyze a situation. Let me once again clarify that sentient robots are not human just because they have feelings, and the having feeling does not mean that they possess the capability to think and analyze. One thing I would like to ask all of you is about this is very simple comparison. Why is human right not given to chimpanzees when they share 99% of similarities with humans? This is a very simple example which can prove that why human rights should remain to humans and sentient robots does not deserve human rights. You can't be, chimpanzees are actually very smart and very similar to human. Does that mean that you can give the right to vote to chimpanzees, or does the chimpanzee knows what is going on? It can feel emotions, it can feel pain, it can feel angry, it can react to the situation, but it can definitely not think and analyze, or it can't it can all it can do is feel but not think beyond it. The opposition team would clearly like to project that the misuse and negative impact caused by sentient robots is way higher, and it proves why it is dangerous. And I don't really see why the government have brought any benefits or much benefits by the sentient robots. So the government side mostly only focus on all the rainbows and sunflowers aspects of giving human rights to robot and fail to think rationally regarding this issue. On the other hand, we as the opposition side have provided alternatives, and we have clearly analyzed the situation that what will happen if we provide human rights and what are the setbacks that we are about to go through. So I would really hope that the adjudicators uh, apologies. So I would like to take this opportunity so that all the government and the educators will be able to see that how harmful providing human rights to robots can be. You know, the world is already a dangerous place, and you are telling that you are providing human rights to robots so that it can, I don't know, it can do whatever it wants. You know, robots are like innocent babies. They don't know anything, but humans can always inject negative thoughts and negative ideas to robots, which could cause a big setback to the humankind. So with this, I would like to clearly back all the educators and audience to see that uh, the house would definitely would not grant human rights to the sentient robots. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the opposition leader for the speech. I should now call upon the Deputy Prime Minister from the government team to deliver their reply speech.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
One, two, three. If you are okay with starting slavery all over again, please support the side opposition. Now, with today's debate that this House will grant human rights to sentient robots, we, the side government, truly agrees with today's debate. And what am I going to talk in my reply speech today? What am I going to say is about first, short term, second, long term, and I'm going to talk about the impact and then the best case scenario in terms of which side is better to cater to the problems here, right? First, but before I continue to my points here, there are a few things that I just want to state out from the reply speech of the things that comes from the side opposition, right? They simply say that they simply say that human rights is different to rights in the first place, and they agree that sentient robots should be given rights, which they never really give us and give us any difference in terms of human rights and rights. They never really state to us what are the major differences, because basically the essential things that have in human rights is the same as rights. Therefore, there's no difference, and their side totally agree on our side to basically give human right to the side to sentient at the end of the day, right? And then they simply came up with a new point on a reply speech, which I think the edge could see, which I'm not going to say because it is pretty much can be seen at the end of the day, right? And that they have a few points that at the end of the day they contradict themselves. Now I'm going to talk about the short-term effect, right? Okay, let's just see on the short-term effect that comes from our side. If this motion actually passes, or there will be hard because people are trying to accept the fact that robots are given rights as what humans has. But what we can see in the long term, people will start to adjust, and by that people will start to give up. People will start to understand why human rights is given to sentient robots, and they can finally start to adjust to the fact that and understand and accept that sentient robots are being given human rights at the end of the day. And I think that is even better, because the major problems here is that sentient robots are being used, are being laborized, are being coerced to do things just to comply to what humans want, which at the end of the day, what we want is just that if they have the consent and they can already start to give consent, which the side of government agrees, and that they should have the consent to either give out opinions and express their opinions, whether they freedom of choice as well, whether they want to choose to work with that person or whether they want to choose to work at the end of the day. That should be on them, because they have the capability to analyze, and they have the emotions, and they have the feelings and the pain that humans has as well. And then I'm going to talk about the impact, right? If this motion passes, what we can see is that there will be no harm between both stakeholders in terms of humans and stakeholders, in terms of humans and also sentient robots, because they will start to adjust to each other and try to complement each other. When they start to complement each other, what we can see is definitely the impact on the economy, where, you know, when we can finally focus our part to probably improve our robots even better, which could open another sector of economy, which could be even better for the side government, because we can definitely with the premises that we want to live a better life, that could be even better in our side. And third, I'm going to talk about which side is better in terms of best case scenario to cater to the problem side. We tell you that side government is better because we give them humans' rights. We do not neglect any and humans' right. They still have their rights. They should not be scared of that. What we are trying to do is just to give sentient robots humans' right. Therefore, we, the side opposition, truly agrees today's motion, and therefore I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have come to the end of the debate. Before that, debaters are asked to remain in this room while waiting for the adjudicators to make a decision, and adjudicators are reminded to move to the adjudicators discussion room in the Cisco WebEx via the link provided before the debate has started. Thank you.
Hello. Are the opponents here? It was a great debate.
Yeah, it was great from the government side too.
Yeah, I
it
think
was
you guys
really
did a great
fun.
job as well. You guys are pros in this?
No, this is our first time, trust me.
I bet you guys are kidding. Nah, I mean, like, I hope you guys are not scared with us. We're just very much attacking you guys so much.
No.
It's our first time as
Yo.
well, so we're very, very nervous.
Nice job. I think it may not be my first time, but it's my first competition in years. But yeah, I think we're all in the same position here.
Both of both of you are really great though.
Hello.
Yeah, we all did a great job. Hello.
And by the way,
Yeah.
you still have about half an hour before the next quarantine though.
Yeah, though I think I'm
Is
just
that
gonna take a.
But in the
I'm gonna take a
tentative, it
nap.
was stated 10, right? But we have half an hour.
Yeah, you
Oh,
should
we
be
start at 10.
in the roll call at 10, like you have to start immediately inside the
Oh,
WebEx, but yeah, you have half an hour to prepare.
damn? That's so
So
close.
we're gonna start at 10.
no, we're
Yeah,
gonna
and
start
you
at 10:30. Is it?
you have about half an hour to prepare, like for the roll call, for you to receive all your motion and everything.
I see.
So it's around 10:30 lah.
The next
Yeah.
debate will start around that time, yeah, 10:30 or 10:45, something like that.
OSSUUM says break saya dah tepu.
I haven't had my
Bro,
breakfast.
it's
We
the
start
same
now
for me as
hungry.
well. Pagi-pagi
So
kot.
so no even break like 5 minutes pun tak ada lah. So lepas ni terus start lah ni.
Maybe ada ke, maybe they will give about 10 or 15 minutes for you to rest. Yo, you
Then
guys will be
how
really
about the
tired.
result?
Can you guys can you confirm with with your team and what time or what should be we starting roll call just to confirm lah. kat dorang.
Lapar duk.
Thanks, Chad.
Orang tak makan lagi ke? Tak breakfast lagi?
Belum.
Bangun.
Semalam was
No.
bad.
Ready.
Yeah. I want my sleep.
Like I was waking up. Okay, it was a debate session lah. I was like, okay, maybe this motion is going to be easy. And then you are talking about robots and stuff like that. I need to squeeze out my brain at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, that's why. Like first debate already like so. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I think you're live stream right now, right, on YouTube.
Yeah.
Comment here.
Yeah, and there was like
yeah.
5 people watching us.
Adam, are you rapping? Adam, are you rapping back then?
No need lah, Aziz lah.
Yeah.
Me lah, no lah. I was
Who is MD Because yesterday also MD also joined us join our live stream, right?
Yeah, though.
dia ada lagi ya.
Ada MD, who are you? Are you from UniKLA?
Expose yourself.
Yeah. Aman Aziz, good luck on surviving. Thank you. I think both sides are barely surviving here. I think we're very much scared of the motion.
Yeah.
If I were a debater, I'm dead. We're dead already. Okay.
Just the main thing is that we had fun.
Yeah, the motion was very too heavy for a morning.
Yeah, but the motion is really good though. The motion is really fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we all had fun lah. That's what mattered the most lah.
I'm still feeling quite sleepy here. You know.
I need my
Yeah,
coffee.
this kind of-
I need my coffee fix after this.
Yes, same.
Same.
Okay, so they said that the third roll call will be 10:30. So yeah, you definitely have some time to rest.
Yay!
Fine.
Nice.
I want to eat nasi lemak.
Yay!
So
You guys
Where's the
are
first
Kedah, is it?
semester?
you guys
What?
at UUM or at your guys' house?
Oh, I think they're at the house lah.
At house only lah. UM
Or
kena
at
balik.
house?
Korang dah boleh balik dah ni?
Bukan tak boleh balik, belum pergi lagi.
Damn.
Oh.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
So you're from sem 2 or sem 3 lah.
Yeah, sem 2 lah. One year done at home.
Same.
Honestly, I can relate. This same with me. I already like 3
You all
semester
relate on that.
and 3 semester of online, and then next semester will be my 4th semester lah. I don't know lah when we get back.
Probably I think we doing the whole degree at home.
No, please don't. No,
It seems like that though. The government is so. I don't want to say anything about the government, but I'm depressed.
Yeah, that was really
I'm
Don't
just
be
hoping
scared by
that
us, okay?
I'm just praying that I don't want to graduate in Teams lah. That's all. I'm not
Yeah,
asking
no.
much. I don't want to graduate in any app. I want to graduate physically.
You wear the robe and
No,
take
you
the
don't
scroll
have to worry,
in the
Haziq.
teams.
They send through post laju one.
No, I don't want that. No.
That's even worse.
That's even worse.
Habis to graduate and take your scroll from the post.
We must buy like the green screen lah from Shopee.
My God, imagine this this live stream, and then they will like, okay, we're calling Irfan from okay, congrats. Oh my God, they're so sad.
Oh, nak buat live kan? Sedih kan?
Panggil seorang-seorang. Okay, the stage is yours. Okay, here is your degree.
Yeah though, hope you guys are doing great at home. Take care of your health.
UUM dekat mana? UUM. Kedah. Dekat mana?
Sintok. It's in
Oh,
somewhere.
Sintok.
Yeah.
I live in Kedah, so I'm from Sungai Tani. If you guys know lah.
I mean, no lah. So SP is a developed area. Don't really.
Okay lah, Sintok. I've gone there. I've been there. Sintok. It was pretty okay lah. I have some friends also there, I guess.
But
I haven't gone there yet.
Is it near to like Padang Besar or what? No.
Not really lah.
We haven't go there yet, dude.
Oh,
Too far.
too far.
For now, I only know my uni is at Sintok. I don't know how Sintok.
Oh, you haven't actually been there yet.
No,
Yeah.
not even once.
Oh, you
That
guys
is
actually
so
haven't been there?
sad. That is
Oh
so
my
sad.
god.
That-
Yeah,
I've been there now.
I'm sorry to say this. That is even sadder than my situation here. At the very least, I've been to campus before, but you guys haven't.
Okay,
I'm sorry for you
I've
guys.
been to campus for like 1 month already, 1 month only, and then they like, okay, go home.
I went to my campus for via online orientation.
We had
They
our
just showed
orientation
us
online.
Yeah, it's like a 360 degrees virtual tour, something like that.
Virtual.
I see. Virtual tour. Everything's virtual right now. Oh
So
god.
you're holding your phone like this lah to see every single degree of the campus.
By
I
the way,
hope
what
you guys
course
can
are
go
you
back to
guys
the campus.
taking?
What?
What course are you guys taking?
Hasbi, what course are you
Uh,
taking?
mechanical design, engineering stuff lah. I also don't know what I'm doing with my life, but that's what I'm taking lah.
Yeah, me as well here, taking engineering technology.
I am doing event management.
Wow, event management.
Pretty cool.
You can,
I am doing
Ketiga.
econs.
Econs, nice. Thank
Yeah,
God PhD
econs.
is not econs just yet.
Yeah.
If not, I think we would have lost to you.
No lah. I still don't understand what am I actually studying.
Same.
It's the same for everyone.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same for everyone.
I think everyone's
It's
the
online
same.
classes.
No worry.
It's okay lah. If I somehow
We only study
fail
for quizzes, but then yeah.
I
Yeah.
still don't know what I'm
You don't
studying.
even study for quiz. Don't lie lah. You don't even study.
I mean,
Let's make
even if you do, that's great lah. But I'm not. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if all of us actually study for quiz or just open book punya test.
Yes.
It's not open book, but literally there's another tab beside you.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
then
definitely.
Not open book, open tab.
open
Yes.
tab. Yeah,
Open
Yeah,
tab.
open
that's
tab.
true.
Yeah, I can
That's
agree
true. I agree on that.
It's okay lah.
Amir,
somehow
you're
I-
at the campus. Our chair is at the
No.
campus. You guys at the campus? No, you're at
No,
home.
I'm at my house. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So you guys are
And my-
having this.
My
even
course
in the
is
game,
scientific course. My course is scientific course, and there is tons of lab, and everything is online.
Oh.
And I don't understand
Can you
anything.
leave?
That even
How
sucks.
can
That
you
more sucks
leave?
though.
I was
Oh,
like,
God.
man. Luckily, there's a tab beside me. I'll just use that.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful at times like this. But I think good luck on surviving. I think you
I'm barely
I can-
surviving right now.
cannot really understand you guys. Oh, Aman Aziz, do not understand what we are studying. It's
I'm
quite
happy that we
mysterious
have
right
viewers for
Yes,
our
agree.
Santai talk right now.
It's okay lah, Man Aziz. If I messed up lah, I will always have culinary by my side. I will run to culinary.
now. Oh, you wanna run to culinary? Oh, okay.
That's the safest route.
Safest route. You can still run.
It's okay lah. I'm 19. I'm still young lah.
Oh, you're only 19.
It seems like I'm the oldest here. I'm 22.
22. Oh, I think you have another 22 here.
No, I'm 21. Okay. I'm 22 also.
Adam's 22. Oh, I think most of us are the same age.
Thank you, the who spend their morning watching this. Yes, thank you everyone. who support this
Yeah,
live
thank
stream.
you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
watching this morning debate. I don't know
Yeah.
why are you guys watching it, but thanks.
While while you're eating your nasi lemak and roti canai, you also brain squeeze your brain lah.
Yeah, excuse your brain to understand what we are debating today. At the morning. Oh my god.
So I
Yeah,
hope
honestly, this wouldn't something that I would do on a Saturday morning.
same. I will be on my bed.
I will be bedridden
I will be sleeping.
for the whole day.
Adam is feeling younger. Adam.
Of course.
He's 18. He's 18. He just started his diploma.
Yeah, I just started studying. Hi guys.
Don't lie.
I hope the Edge won't give long comments lah. If not, 10:20 we don't have time to break up.
I don't know,
You can
but
you can
yeah,
just
I think it
you can
depends
just
maybe
get your food
sometimes.
though. You can just get your food first. Maybe order the food or something.
Yeah. Kau dah makan ke Adam? Mesti dah makan ni, tutup kamera.
No,
Ya, tengah makan lah tu.
Yo, even
no,
my donut is ready cold. You know, I haven't ate
Oh,
it.
I'm gonna make my
our
bread and
chat
my
is already
coffee.
ready.
Donat pagi-pagi Huh.
Itu je lah mampu.
Big Apple ni.
Tak ada tu.
Yeah, I think we all did our best just now. Like
You
We
guys
had
did
fun.
though.
which side's better or which side's win? I think we can all agree that we all did our best. I think that's what we can agree on.
At the end of the day, we had fun. That's all.
Yeah, I'm satisfied.
It was an interesting topic.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was an interesting topic really.
Shall I go and run?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, you can
Go, go, go.
go and run for a while.
go eat Adam.
Because
You guys should.
10:30, 20 minutes left. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna make my bread.
I'll do the same.
Bye.
The adjudicators is taking quite some time. Like
Yeah.
the debate is really good though. Like both sides is stating some good points.
You're a debater as well, Ami?
I was.
You was. I see. I believe you. Yeah.
It's been so long since I debate. Last at my school though.
Oh, which school are you from?
It's a Chinese school, Chonghua, if you know.
Oh, Chonghua. I think I've heard of it before. I think
You're from
I'm not
Klang
sure if I've
ke?
debated.
Sorry?
Are you from Klang?
No, not Chonghua Clan, KL Chonghua.
Oh, sorry.
But Clan Chonghua is pretty good at debate too though.
I think I've heard of you guys. I mean, I debated back in high school as well. Maybe I've actually met your team. I don't know.
I'm not sure, but if you're in KL, I might have seen you before.
Yeah,
But
I
I've been
was.
to
Which competition have you been before?
like the KL,
20,
I
2016,
from
2017?
2015 and 2016.
Which competition?
I forget, but it's
Oh, you
around
forgot.
March or April, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you
And
can state the name, I think I've been there as well.
I've been to like the best we got is quarterfinal in KL.
Which competition you do not remember?
I'm not sure. There's too much though.
Oh, I
A
see.
lot.
I see.
Hi, hello. I'm back.
Okay,
Hi.
bye.
Hi, sorry it took a while. I have to evaluate my trainee. Have to have to evaluate my trainee. So here's how my feedback is going to be. I'm going to give you general feedback. I'm also going to give you I'm going to give you general feedback, then my verdict, render justification towards my verdict, why I give the win, why I give the lose. So before we move to that, let's go to the first one, general feedback, and what I see this debate and how it could have improved. So in what I see this debate, while it was debate full of context, full of characterization, I think the first level towards this debate is that when you all make certain claims, for example, like it is a norm that human and robots are living in a good relationship, and human are to a certain extent accepted towards robot in the current status quo. Things like saying that things like saying that AI is more easy to be programmed as human, whether AI behave the same behavior as robot, all these things. I think there's also need to be a premise to justify why all your claim to be true to begin with. Because while I'm unsure whether this context, this facts is to a certain extent 100% to be true or not. If I'm debating, I easily can call it out. But in the same time, also I couldn't because both sides didn't call it out. In the same time, also both sides didn't justify why all this claim is true. So I, to a certain extent, have to no choice but to believe that this claim is to be true to begin with. Yeah, this claim to be true to begin with. But absent of that is quite dangerous because it's also very hard for me to believe whether most of your claim are to a certain extent believable or not. Because these are the premises to a certain extent leads to your further next argument. So if it's hard for me to buy, then it dies the purpose because you don't persuade your judges. So that's for the first part. So the second part, I think this is the most dangerous part to a certain extent, is that when you all claim that if this other harm will more likely to happen, or this other benefit will more likely to happen, there is need to be a process or analysis by telling me why all these outcomes will more likely to happen, why all this harm will more likely to happen, why AI will behave this way will lead to harm, why AI will behave this way to lead to more problem, why human also will behave this way will to lead AI to do something beneficial or do something bad. That's another part. Because if you don't prove that, then all your outcomes sound to a certain extent very speculative, very like betul ke this thing will happen, betul ke that thing will happen, while not persuading the judges that all this outcome will happen. Because if you can't prove that, then your outcome will to a certain extent doesn't make sense, and to a certain extent, even if those outcomes sounds to a certain extent quite reasonable, but when you try to compare out with the outcome, it is hard because to a certain extent it stuck on the speculative level. So that's the second. I think the third part is to a certain extent very important. I'm unsure whether this tournament has an info site or not, but I think as an average judges, a global average judges, I think I'm completely aware that AI and robot behave differently. And I think there is significant characterization that differentiate AI and also significant characterization that differentiate robot. So on both sides, it's quite dangerous because to a certain extent, there is a borderline. One sounds like robot, one sounds like human. To a certain extent, even you guys also use, in knowing that this is AI, you label them as robot. So I was like, so what is what? So like we are giving right now the debate is actually giving the rights to AI, but it sounds like as if we're giving it to robot to a certain extent. So I think there is also need to have a clear cut definition in differentiate. Yeah, the clear cut in differentiate number one, like these are the huge differences. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by the waybacks. How to? Sorry, give me a sec. Sorry, got distracted by the sound from the waybacks. Screw it. Yeah, so that part. So I think that part of characterization is significantly important and significantly important in differentiating your argument so that it is within this debate circumstances. Because if it's not, it doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's all how I see the debate. Rebuttal wise, I'll let one more personally later on. So verdict. I give the win to side government, and here's my justification. So I think this debate eventually boils down into two big clashes. Number one, the principle justification: should we give AI the right, a human right, or should we not give? Second, on the practical outcome, on what if we give this human right towards the AI. So let's go to the first one, the principle justification. So this is what. Oh my God! Stop the waybacks. Wait. Aiyo, wait, I need to off. Right, sorry. Yeah, where was I? Yeah. So let's look on the first principle on whether AI deserve to have human rights or human rights or not. So this is what eventually a side government provide to the table. So government provide to us on the first premise that AI to a certain extent deserve to have human right because A is not the reason of the parallel analysis that they behave to a certain extent same as human. That number one, that they are conscious, so they have the ability to feel emotion, they have the ability to feel pain, they also have the ability to self-actualize and make decisions on deciding what they want in their life. Things like coming out to the second speaker, things that they also want to get married, things that they also want to have the rights to reproduce, they also want to have yada yada yada. So so I think that's the first principle on justifying on why they deserve to have human right. At the same time, also second level towards this, it is a norm that human as human relationship having human relationship, and therefore it is that to a certain extent humans are okay with it. And it's also right for us to give that human right because we want to avoid things like exploitative and abuse that happen in certain school. Things like telling me that robots are being put in cages. I don't know whether I don't know whether this thing is true or not. Like putting in cages, being exploited, things are being exploited. Things are also not giving the rights to give money, being exploited in a very stressful life, etc. So while all these are reasons by telling me why AI deserve to have human rights, so what are the comment from side opposition to system extent accredited? So they say number one, they do not deserve human right because we as a human also fail to protect our right. Why our why do we even need to give robots the right to begin with? So while I see it as while I see it is a premise of analysis, but essentially it still doesn't directly doubt that due to the nature of AI has conscious, AI has the ability to feel emotion, feel pain. Why there are still that analysis still not directly touches on due to these particular premises, they still do not deserve a human right to begin with. So so all these premises still run. So even if coming out, I think the closest comparative coming out was that they don't deserve to have human right because they are different. They are different. So it comes out in second speaker. Yeah, I agree they are different, but there aren't any analysis by telling me why they are so different that they don't deserve human right. And it comes very late in the third speaker to the certain extent. Unfortunately, I couldn't credit this analysis because it sounds completely like a new argument. It comes by telling me, look, AI are far more superior, far more stronger, and far more smarter than us. Hence, the moment that we give them human rights, they will have an upper hand towards humanity. And that's the first analysis. Second analysis, that AI are not supposed to not AI don't deserve to have human right because human rights are supposed to be special and give it to a human. Is the same principle as like you don't give human rights to animal because this right is only uniquely to human. While all this analysis to a certain extent could have clashes and could have potentially to outweigh this principle first clashes, but it could not because it's come out in the third speaker, and I don't think it's fair for me to judges to credit this this contribute new material coming out in which speech. So knowing that given that this particular reasoning, this is why the first principle government takes the win. Second, in terms of practical outcome, so I think this is the one of the biggest discussion that most likely happen within this room rather than the particular principle part. It tells me that the reason we need to give this human right because we want to give them we want to respect them as a robot, we want to give them liberty, we want to protect themselves from any possibility of slavery. We also want to ensure that we want to foster good relationship between human and also a robot. And at second level towards it says that look, the second point towards this question is that saying that we want to ensure that we held it accountable, regardless towards robot for any misconduct action that happen. Third, we want to protect them from any form of discrimination, that any possibility that human will impose on them. And last, that to prevent any possibility of I assume this is like Terminator, this is Avengers, where I forgot what's that villain, but you get the point. Like there is a catastrophic will happen in the future. I think that's the context they want to bring. So what's the comparative comeback coming out from opposition to a certain which I credited? So this is what they say. The reason that you shouldn't give AI in terms of practicality towards practicality to human rights towards AI on multiple reasons, because it has a lot. Number one, you're going to kill off jobs because these jobs are more likely to be taken out by AI. And second, if it's going to be harmful, and then because this AI wants money and compensation. Second, they say that it's going to harm the earth and ecosystem, because right now the population is to a certain extent the population of robot will outweigh the human, and at the same time more resources will be extracted to, I think, reproduce even more robot. Third, there might be possibility of human hacking into robot and cause terrorism and cause bombing to other country. The second unique argument covered by second speaker is that we give them like there might be possibility of unbiased decisions when they will have the rights to vote, when they given the rights to vote, and same parallels as that. This is that there might be possibility of biasness when AI are being applied in terms of jurisdiction system. So while all these are unique outcome, they have one thing in common. It's to a certain extent very speculative. What do I mean by this? It means that all your arguments are contingent that you're able to prove to me that AI will behave this way. So let's go one by one. So this means that number one, that AI will take out jobs and money on contingent that you're able to prove to me that AI want this money and AI want this AI will kills out a lot of job and competition, and there's no analysis telling me why this thing will more likely to happen and how AI will monopolize in terms of job market that exists in status quo. Second, in terms of population, this also contingent on there is a trend and analysis that AI are behaving this way, and AI are behaving to increase population of themselves and destroying the ecosystem or extracting more resources, etc. While to a certain extent, there's no proof of why AI will be this way and why AI will go into that particular direction. So to a certain extent, I'm sure. Third, I think this is a little bit not to say confusing, but it's a little bit tension in this case. It says that look, AI has the possibility to be hacked by human and then will act out indecisively and cause terrorist attacks, etc. So this also contingent that AI are possibility being hacked. Well, I agree that robot can be hacked, but I'm unsure whether AI can be hacked, because AI in such a certain extent has its own conscience, has its own emotion. But even excluding that fact, I think opposition as the government also addressing fact, even if it is true, AI, knowing that they have their own conscience, it also means that they will easily be manipulated, will easily be indoctrinated with whatever values that exist in human values out there. So AI will behave in a way due to environment, even excluded hacking to begin with. So I think the last tension that I have is that AI will behave unbiased. So I think there's also need to be justification why AI will behave this way, why AI will be biased, and I'm unsure what are the difference that human already have, and etc. So all this outcome that you have to a certain extent quite speculative to begin with. So I'm unsure why all this outcome will more likely to happen, even if I buy those outcomes, why you still unable to win the clash with government, because government has already proved to me to a certain extent, maybe the sound of leading to a movie like Termination, moving into a movie like Avengers, etc., sounds a little bit speculative, but at least they prove to me that all these things, there are possibility of it happening when you do not give that human right. Reasons why is that that when you don't give human rights towards AI, they are being treated discriminatory. They are being treated unfairly. They are being treated badly, to the fact that they have the possibility of only to harness all this frustration, to harness all this anger, and retaliate against human beings, and lead to all this kind of things that will potentially happen. So at least there is trend analysis by telling me reasoning on why AI have a possibility to reason themselves and behave this way, and leads to retaliation against humankind. So I think that so this is the reason why I gave the win to government, and buying to your premise from some opposition. like at least from side opening government also by telling me, look, all these like behave like bad things that happen that you try to claim, it can be protected, it can be regulated with rules and regulation the moment that you apply human rights towards them. Because the moment that you accept human right, it means you are also entitled to all these form of regulation. You break it, you are applied to accountability, you'll be punished, we're going to shut you down. So I think even if I buy your outcome, it has been like to a certain extent clashes and diluted as the moment that they address that. Now let it be like if all this happen, at least accountability also happen our side, can only happen in our side the moment that they have human rights. So this is how I see the debate. So this is also the why I give the win to side government. If you guys want to have personal feedback and ask like priority in this debate and how you guys can improve, you guys just can find me or just ask Amir for my number or pass it. Thank you.
All right, with that, this House conclude that the motion is accepted, and this House, one moment, this House would grant human rights to sentient robots. That's all for the debate today. Thank you, and good luck for the next round.
Thank you,
Thank you,
educators. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have fun
Thank
next
you,
week.
everyone.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Edge Farhan, maybe Edge,
Yes,
Can you share your number?
are you here? Maybe can I ask the best debater for today?
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Apa Irfan? Sorry.
Alright, I'll just ask your number lah. I just wrote WhatsApp you.
Oh, I texted. You saw that, right? My number.
Yeah.
Numbers
016.
in the text.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks. Goodbye, everyone.
All right, good luck, everyone.